Okay, so the purpose of this video is to explain what's going through my mind as I play CV and why I'm playing it the way that I play it, because watching somebody play CV, it can be hard to work out. My first move is to send my fighters out because I want to illuminate the area and I want to be able to address the enemy fighters as they come in and protect my own planes. I've spread my bombers and my torpedo bombers out to show as much of the map as possible, making sure that my bombers are going to take the most anti-aircraft fire and fighters. Okay, my fighters have just been engaged by the enemy fighter, so I've hooked them back over the battleship because it's got really good anti-air. Had I left my fighters there defending ships, they would have been hooked back over the enemy CV and they would have been shot down. Okay, I've just finished shooting down the enemy fighters so that they now don't have fighters to defend their ships and they can't use those fighters to show where our destroyers are. I made the mistake of using torpedoes on a destroyer and that destroyer did a really good job of dodging, so that was just a complete waste of torpedoes. I'm now bringing my fighters forward to a position where they can show the ships what's coming up and they can also protect from incoming aircraft. Just taking it out to the side because I was pretty sure there'd be a destroyer. I found it and it can now come back in to defend the ships from the incoming aircraft. So the fighters have a lot of work to do without getting shot down. The enemy still doesn't have their fighters back, so they've been denied all of that use of their fighters. Had I let my fighters be shot down, I'd only now just be launching them, so that would have just been a complete waste. I've got my aircraft carrier on circle because there's a destroyer down the left-hand side that may come up, and unfortunately I'm having to attack this this destroyer because it wants to come around and attack me. It wants to try to sneak up. And once again, that's just never going to work. So you'll notice that my fighters are over the main aircraft. They're not down over the destroyer at the moment because the anti-aircraft fire from those battleships would shoot them down. If I need to bring them forward, I'll bring them forward. But if I put them there at the moment, I'll lose them to the anti-air fire from that little group of ships. So even if the fighters aren't over your ships in particular, doesn't mean they won't get there if they're needed. My fighters at the moment are scouting back and forward because there's a destroyer missing. Okay, I think it's down there somewhere. And those fighters are risking the anti-air fire now because I just really have to find that destroyer because it's gone undetected and it could sneak up on any of our ships. I'm not quite sure where all of the enemy aircraft have gone. And there's our destroyer. And unfortunately I couldn't reset that plane. So redirecting aircraft once they're engaged in an action isn't as easy as you might anticipate, and that's especially true of planes in a dogfight. Now you notice if you have a look at the number of aircraft that I've shot down, even though I fully engaged those fighters and drew them back over the battleship, I only shot one of them down. Fighters don't shoot down many planes. What fighters do is delay them over anti-aircraft fire. Fighters, despite the fact that they're fighters, really don't actually shoot down as many planes as anti-aircraft fire. And I really have no idea what's happening to the enemy aircraft at the moment. So my fighters aren't having a lot of work to do other than scouting. It is possible that they've run out of aircraft. but you can see that I've hung on to my fighters since the very beginning. I haven't lost any. I haven't had to relaunch, so there has been no period at all in this game where we were without fighter cover if we needed it. So my fighters have been able to defend ships, they've been able to scout, they've been able to hook the enemy fighters and destroy them. And the advantage of that to destroyer players is that those fighters aren't out there scouting for you, so you can go undetected. If you don't play CV, I know some of the things that CV players do probably look a little bit unusual. I guess the temptation is to be a critic of the ship types that we don't play, but that's what's going through my mind anyway. If you think that it should have been played out a little bit differently at the beginning, feel free to message me and let me know. At this stage, my daughter came home and my planes were going everywhere because I wasn't really paying too much attention. But the game's pretty much won from there. Hope that helps.